A small group of 3 to 4 students can be gathered for a strategy lesson in order to target an area of need. The 7 to 10 minutes spent teaching a strategy lesson can save instructional time in individual conferences and give students the benefit of knowing that others are practicing the same strategy. Choose a strategy lesson when you want to provide guided practice for students to transfer skills to their independent reading books, teach efficiently when students have a common goal, hold students accountable to ongoing work around their goal. As you start a strategy lesson, be sure to explain why you've brought this particular group of students together. If possible, compliment the students on a habit or behavior you've noticed them using. Be clear and explicit in outlining what strategy you will be working on in the lesson. You may choose to quickly demonstrate or lead a shared practice of the strategy before they apply it to their independent reading books. Plan to spend most of the lesson time moving among the students in the group, prompting, coaching, and supporting them as they practice. In the lesson you're about to see, I target 3 students whose reading logs have a pattern of slow or distracted reading in order to work with them on stamina and engagement. I engage them in conversation in order to discover what issues are challenging their reading. Once I target the issue of distraction, I offer these students specific strategies to help them, including predetermining the target number of pages each student will read in a sitting, at the end of a reading session, asking each student to reflect on his or her ability to focus, and planning ahead to choose a quiet reading space to minimize distractions. Notice how I leave the students with clear instructions for what to read and what observations to make, as well as a specific time for my next meeting with them. Being as specific as possible allows students to stay focused and to be held accountable for practicing this new strategy set.
All right, girls, I pulled you together today because I took a look at your book logs and I noticed that sometimes your reading was a little bit slow, which means either that you're reading slow or that sometimes when you read you get distracted. Let me show you what I'm looking for. When I look at the page started, page ended.
This one I read at home and I read the whole thing.
Okay, well not this entry in particular. Let's look at this one. Okay.
That one was at home too.
That was at home too. When I look at the page started, page ended, and I subtract the 2, I get 11. And when I look at the minutes read, it says 20. Okay, so that means it took you about 2 minutes to read 1 page, right? And here on yours, I see start page 5, page ended 8, so that's 3 pages, minutes read 30. So that means it took you 10 minutes to read a page.
My sister is screaming. She always runs around going, ah.
Okay, so you know something that makes you distracted, right? Do you know something that makes you distracted?
I don't know. My sister, when she plays on the computer, I get jealous of her when I'm doing homework.
So you're always looking over at what she's doing? How about with you? Do you find that you get distracted sometimes?
Yeah, my brother, he's older than me, and he always is shouting because he has a PS3, and he's shouting at all his friends, and I'm always doing homework when he's playing the PS3.
And how about at school? At school, is it the same thing? Let me see. At school, that one's not filled out. At school, yeah, we have page 8 to page 9, 1 page in 30 minutes.
I forgot it.
Here's another school entry, 9 to 12. It's 3 pages in 30 minutes. So it's not just a home thing. You can't just blame it on your brothers and sisters.
I was at the nurse.
What do you think?
At that time.
Both times?
Here, I had a bloody nose here. I had a headache.
Okay. So it seems like there's lots of things that are standing in the way of your reading. Do you think? Brothers, sisters, illnesses.
I don't have any brothers, but I have a bird, and sometimes he distracts me because he's chirping and getting mad and flying all around his cage like crazy. And my mom always has to open his doors. Then sometimes he flies out and it distracts me.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we need a better plan. Okay? We need a better plan so we can get more reading done, so you can stay focused and really enjoy your book, whether you're in school or at home, so that you could really, really stay focused on your book. I'm going to teach you something today that helps me sometimes when I find that I get distracted a lot. What I like to do is sometimes when I read a long book like this, I'm like, oh, how much longer is it? And then I feel like I get distracted because I have a long, long way to go. But what I do sometimes is I make little goals for myself along the way. And I think, okay, if I'm just going to get to that next goal, I can just get a couple more pages, or I can make it to that next spot. And what I do is I take my book and I just stick a blank Post-it, however far I think I can read without stopping, with no interruptions, no distractions. No matter what happens, my bird's flying around the house, my brother's screaming, no matter what, I'm just going to put my eyes on that book and I'm going to read. Okay? I'm going to put my Post-it there. And then see again, how many pages can I go, and put my Post-it there. Now you have to think about yourself as a reader. Do you think it could be 1 page until you need a break, or 2 pages, or 5 pages, or 10 pages? Think about yourself, and I want you to plan out your reading like that. Plan out stopping places along the way. Okay?
And I might be reading and filling out my log on Thanksgiving. And also, there's this cockatoo coming over, and his name's Boo Boo, and he might distract me.
Okay, so that's the first thing we need to talk about then. And since you're going to go home for a long vacation in a little while, you're going to have to really deal with these distractions at home. So we're going to first put our Post-its in the book, okay? So think about yourself and think about how many pages can you read before you think you're going to need a break. All right, go ahead, take some Post-its, get started. So judging from your log, from what you have so far, what do you think is a good goal for yourself? How many pages until you're going to stop?
We have partner books, and me and my partner go
With this book?
10.
You go 10 pages before you stop? But I'm not.
So
Do you think that's appropriate for you, or that's too much?
I think it's okay for me because most of the time I have like emergency distractions.
Well, let's look down here. Even. So page 5 to 21, that's about 16 pages, 30 minutes. That's still a little on the slow side. Page 21 to 22, I can't believe that you had an emergency distraction every single day when you're reading, right? So I want you to think about, for yourself, think about a time when you were focused and reading. How many pages did you read before you felt like you needed a break?
I had, well, does last year count? Because that has,
Is that the last time you can remember being really focused?
yeah, I
Okay.
had 10 pages.
But I'm not
and
seeing
then I noticed, I stopped at 10, and then when I was not done, right at the middle when I was almost done, I saw that I read 20 pages because I was on page 30 at the end.
I want to help you get back to that same place this year too, okay? But it's a little concerning to me that you haven't felt that into your book so far this year. So I think, judging from your log, I'm thinking that like maybe 2 pages and then a stop, then 2 pages and then a stop is maybe a good pace for you. So will you do that? Count 2 pages and then put a Post-it there? All right, I'll be right back with you.
I'm usually really good at reading because I usually read like 20 pages, so I'm doing like every 20 pages because that's what I usually do in my partner book. So
20 pages. Let's take a look at your log and see if that's true. Here I'm seeing 14, 7, 3.
yeah, because that's when I was finishing a book and it was only 2 minutes.
Okay. I just want you to think about if that's going to be an appropriate goal for you, if you want to make it a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
Harper?
I'm at this part of the book,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes it's a little confusing because it says Bob is a bug bag, and it doesn't make sense, but it's in the book right over here.
Okay, so I'm trying to have you think about how many pages you should read until you need a break.
So I think
So let's say you're going to go back and you're going to try to figure out what's going on in your story. Then how many pages do you think you're going to need to read until you have a break?
but I don't know. But,
Well, let's look at your log. What does it seem like?
well, this book I'm rereading.
So based on your log, it looks like in a whole sitting, more like 10 pages. Let's see how many you picked. 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like that's a lot for you to say I'm not going to give myself any break or any time to think about anything. I'm just going to zoom right ahead from page 42 to 59. Does that feel like a lot to you? You think you can stay concentrated and focused until you get up to that goal? All right, let's see. Okay, so girls, can we stop for a minute? Just close your books. Let's pause and talk for a minute. Okay, so those Post-its in your book are going to be kind of like little goals for yourself, all right? And here's what I want you to do. Just listen, Harper. When you're reading tonight, log in your reading as usual. And then I want you to try to read up to that Post-it. And when you get to that Post-it, you're going to ask yourself, did I stay concentrated and focused this whole time? Or was there anything distracting me? Okay? And on that Post-it, I want you to write down your thoughts. Yes, I got distracted, or I was as concentrated as I could be. I really stayed focused. And we're going to meet again tomorrow to talk about this, to see if it felt like that was an appropriate goal. I think some of you might be trying to read a lot of pages before you give yourself a break, and maybe some fewer pages would be better. The other thing I want to talk to you about real quick before you go is where you're reading.
I'm only reading at home or the school bus.
So I want you to think about if there's a spot in your home where you can have a quiet reading time, where you won't hear anything or see anything. You can just focus on your book. Do you have a spot?
Mom and Dad's bedroom.
Okay.
And also it doesn't have any pets. Only the dining room has 3 pets.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. How about for you? Quiet, can't see anything, can't hear anything.
Downstairs near my closet because you can not hear a thing.
Okay, so that's where you're going to try to read. How about you?
Probably the bathroom because I live in a studio apartment. So it's a small space. I could still hear my sister, but all I hear is an echo.
Yeah, so maybe the bathroom would be helpful. All right, let's give that a try, girls, and I'll come back together tomorrow and we'll talk about how this went, whether you could stay focused up to the Post-it and how that new reading spot went for you at home. Sounds good? Okay, thanks, girls.